evening, Tuesday, April 12th, 2022, regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. It is 5:30. I'll call the meeting to order. Could I please have the roll call?
Mrs. Hassler,
Here.
Mrs. Stufen,
Present.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Here.
Mrs. Troutman,
Here.
Mr. Collins,
Yep.
Mrs. Arvanitis,
Here.
and Mrs. Caforio.
Here, we have all 7 board members present. If I could have a motion to go into closed session, please.
I move that the Board of Education move into closed session for the purposes of A, appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the public body or legal counsel for the public body, including hearing testimony in a complaint lodged against an employee of the public body or against legal counsel for the public body to determine its validity. 5 ILCS 122C1. B, collective negotiating matters between the public body and its employees or their representatives, or deliberations concerning salary schedules for one or more classes of employees. 5 ILCS 122C2. And C, litigation when an action against, affecting, or on behalf of the particular public body has been filed and is pending before a court or administrative tribunal, or when the public body finds that an action is probable or imminent. 5 ILCS 122C11.
I'll second.
Motion by Mrs. Troutman, second by Mrs. Arvanites. Please call the vote.
Mrs. Troutman,
Yes.
Mrs. Arvanitis,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes.
Mrs. Stufen,
Yes.
Mrs. Hassler,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
and Mrs. Caforio.
Yes, 7 ayes, no nays. The board is going into closed session. Sorry. Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday, April 12th, 2022 regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting. All 7 board members are present and the board has been in closed session for the items listed on the closed session agenda. At this time, I would ask that we all stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so now is the best part. We get to do the recognitions and spotlight some of the great things going on in our district. And so we are going to begin with the Bryan Middle School math team. So we'd ask that all members of the Bryan Middle School math team come up, and I think that their principal, Mrs. DeCipio, is here. So you can come up and stand in the middle so that we can all see you and parents can get pictures.
Hi, friends. My name is Jackie DeCipio, and I've had the honor of serving the Bryan community for the past 7 years. Tonight, I'm joined up here with some esteemed colleagues. Assistant Principal Sheehan is with me tonight, Miss Heather Bloor, and Miss Sweeney, and we are so excited to honor our students up in front of us. We have so many amazing things to celebrate at Bryan right now. We've had successful volleyball and basketball seasons. We've had goal setting and leadership opportunities during our flexible learning lab. We have an Annie performance right around the corner, but tonight we are here to celebrate you, our math team. Our math team is led by 2 outstanding professionals, Miss Heather Bloor and Miss Kim Sweeney. Miss Bloor and Miss Sweeney are 2 math teachers at Bryan Middle School who go above and beyond for our students, and we are honored to have them as members of our Bryan family. These 2 coaches have been working with our students weekly since October. They have had so many accomplishments this year. They've taken first place at IC, 4th place at Fenwick. They've had strong IML results across all 3 grades. But tonight, specifically, we are honoring their performance at the IMSA competition. First place finish at the Illinois Math and Science Academy. The 8th grade team earned first place. The 7th grade team also earned first place. And overall, the Bryan team earned 3rd place for creative thinking, which is outstanding. At this time, I'm just going to ask that our 2 esteemed coaches, Miss Bloor and Miss Sweeney, call our students up by their names for their awards. Oh, yeah, of course.
I'm asking you. All right. This is incredible. You all should feel very good about yourselves and your accomplishments. It's so exciting always to recognize our staff and our students. But I mean, I really love the fact that we can celebrate math, and this is outstanding. I mean, goodness, first place with IMSA. Hats off to y'all. I have to say that. And thank you. All right. But with that, I'll read the proclamation officially. Whereas Bryan Math Team, taking first place overall at the IMSA Junior High School Math Contest, consisting of Emma, and I hope I pronounce your names correctly, Brayton? Flattered it already. Sorry, I hear giggles. Madeline, how do you say it? Because there's another. Broughton, okay. Eamon Hall, Will Huber, Gage Jones, Micah Jones, Casson Kramer, Anya Parikh, Josh Reddick, Konstantin Rusav. God, thank you. Constantine, love that name. Amelia Schof? Shep, okay. Slaughtering them all. I am so sorry. Ryan Schlager, Arya Shaw, Liam Shea, Elise Smith, and Grace Sampensky. And whereas 7th grade team taking first place, consisting of Iman Hall, Will Huber, Josh Reddick, and Amelia Shep. And whereas 8th grade team taking first place, consisting of Gage Jones, Kassan Kramer, Arya Kaysen, thank you, Shaw, and Elise Smith. And whereas 7th and 8th grade team taking 3rd place in creative thinking, another good to you, consisting of Liam Shea and Iman Hall. And whereas the 7th grade taking 3rd place, consisting of Micah Jones, Ryan Schwager, Madeline Blayton, and Emma Broughton. And whereas this accomplishment brings pride and prestige to Bryan Middle School, to District 205, and to the community of Elmhurst, now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration of Elmhurst Community Unit School District express deep appreciation and congratulations to the coaches, Heather Ballor, Kimberly Sweeney, for their outstanding performance in this competition, and to you, the students. Congratulations, thank you. I'm sorry about the names, but there you go.
We'll have you guys get a picture with Dr. Campbell. And, oh, was she going to say something? Oh, you want to say something? Okay. But before you move, let's do pictures with the coaches, Dr. Campbell, and Mrs. DeCipio as well. Okay, and then you have to come around and shake all, or fist bump, or whatever you want to do there. Okay. Okay. I hear that there's a student that would like to speak, and so I think that the team maybe should come back up while he speaks. So, little more time in the spotlight. Yep. Come on up so he can speak. And can you introduce yourself?
I'm Liam Shea. I placed 3rd place in creative thinking, and I'm prepared to give a speech. Hello, board. Thank you for the honor of this award. Many men have stood in this spot before me, and I am honored and privileged to be able to stand in their footsteps. There are certain events in a man's life that define him. Graduating high school, maybe graduating college, marriage, the birth of a child, and I believe that I'm entering the doorsteps of one of these achievements right now. To be able to hold this IMSA junior high 3rd place ribbon is quite literally a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I fought through every adversity imaginable to get to this point. It seems like yesterday that my soul was ripped from my body when I was told I would not be able to go to IMSA. However, All good things work out, as one of my classmates was not able to attend, and I stood in his place. I want to thank my family for raising and preparing me for this exact moment. I want to thank my teammate, Eamon Hall, for fighting the depths of battle with me. I want to thank my friends for laughing and keeping me afloat in the ocean that depression and adversity can take away so many in. I want to thank God for just being able to walk on this earth. I want to thank my coaches who worked countless hours in the past years preparing me. And most of all, I want to thank myself. Now, some of you may think that's a bit self-centered, but I disagree. At the end of it all, people will always push you, but you're the one who accomplishes the goal, and it's important to remind yourself of that. I worked so hard to get here. I sacrificed friendships, bowling on the court, and even more to get here. Every day I worked and I was in my craft, solving, dividing, adding, to be able to perform at IMSA, and in the end, it all panned out. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Over the mountain of despair, there is a stone of hope," and I'm proud to say I stand on that mountain. The hope of what is to come and what I still have to prove to this world is the boulder, and I'm on top of the mountain. This may be it for me now at the Bryan math team, but I will not be done forever, because this experience has forever taught me the best view will always come after the hardest climb. People sometimes ask me, why do bad things happen? My answer is that the bad makes the good even sweeter, and boy, does this one taste good. I'll leave you with one last comment. Michael Jordan once said, some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen. So all of you ask yourselves this, is what you are doing today getting you closer to where you want to be tomorrow? Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations to all of you. Okay. Next up is the boys swimming state champion. So if he could come up. And Chris. And is this coach here? Yes. All right. We'll have the coach if you want to say anything, and then we'll do the presentation.
Good evening. I just want to say a couple quick words about this young man before us. This is Connor Groya, state champion in the 50 freestyle and the 100 freestyle. Just as good a swimmer as he is, I'm even more proud of the young man he truly is. I was able to be a small part of his success. He's joined here by his parents tonight, outstanding family, outstanding friends, supported by his teammates, supported by his community. I know our superintendent even turned around her plans to come out and join us in the post-championship festivities over in the Commons at York High School. We truly appreciate you taking the time to do that. Hopefully your husband understood postponing that. But like I said, I'm just very honored to be part of a forever moment, not just for Connor, his family, but myself and his teammates as well. And we also recently learned that he's not just an All-State, he's an All-American 2 times. Connor Groya.
Oh, you're not done. Oh, you have to still stand up here a little longer. To stand up here in the
Yeah, sorry.
little longer in the spotlight.
Congratulations, Connor. A lot to be very proud of for you and your family, and I hope that's sunk in for you. And if not, maybe tonight will help with that. So I'll read the formal proclamation. Whereas Connor Groya, taking first place in the 50-yard freestyle and 100-yard freestyle events at the Illinois High School Association State Swimming Final, and whereas setting a New York Community High School record of 20.27 seconds in the 50-yard freestyle and 44.69 seconds in the 100-yard freestyle, and captaining the Swimming Dukes to their highest finish and point total at the state meet in school history, and whereas this accomplishment brings pride and prestige to York Community High School, to District 205, and to the community of Elmhurst, and therefore let it be resolved that the Board of Education and Administration of Elmhurst Community Unit District 205 express appreciation and congratulations to Connor for his outstanding performance in this competition. Congratulations.
Okay, so next we have the York Special Olympics basketball team to honor. So if they could come up and stand in the middle here, and their coaches can come up as well to the podium, and then Mrs. Troutman is going to deliver the proclamation and honors for these great athletes. You can kind of, yep. Perfect. That's great.
Mrs. Cafario's last words were to me, "Don't cry, don't cry." I always cry at these things. And, in this instance, I know many of your families. I've cheered you guys on from the sidelines and in our community, and we're just so proud of everything you've accomplished. Whereas the York Special Olympics basketball team has placed 4th at the state tournament. Yay! And whereas this is the very first Special Olympics basketball team to represent York at the state basketball tournament. And whereas the York team, consisting of Franco Bibiano, hold your applause, Matthew Bowen, Ali Jamsed, William Luca, Laura Mathuni, Alexander Michael, Jack Richley, Alarin Villatora Nevarez, Nora Young, Peter Hickey, Matthew Hunquest, Thomas Veach, Lauren Gerbasi, Hope Gendreas, Khalib Tamling, Andrew Thomas, Brianna DiCiani, Emma Higgins, and Tyler, always the hardest for last, Swarchek. Hope I'm close. Am I close? Oh, that's a major accomplishment. Whereas this accomplishment brings pride and prestige to the York Community High School, to District 205, and to our entire community of Elmhurst. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration of Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205 express congratulations to these students, their parents, and coaches, Stephen Westendorf and Tim Welton, for this outstanding accomplishment. I know you guys have been busy today. You were at the DuPage County Board meeting this morning and the Board of Ed, so thank you, thank you, thank you, and we are so, so proud of all of you.
Can they come up and do a photo?
Do the parents want to come up and take a photo?
Congratulations. One more round of applause. right, our next spotlight is on the Illinois Music Educators Association York All-State musicians. So if they could come up, please. And it looks like Patrick Baker is here to give a little background and speak, and then Mrs. Arvanites will give the proclamation.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Patrick Baker. I'm the District 205 Fine and Performing Arts Coordinator. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you this evening as we celebrate the accomplishment of some of our outstanding high school student musicians. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to say a few words about these special accomplishments. The Illinois Music Education Association sponsors festivals in 9 districts across Illinois, as well as a combined all-state festival. We belong to District 1, which is among the most competitive of the 9 districts. The students before you prepared, auditioned, and were selected from among thousands of their peers across the state to be placed as a performer in one of the highly selective all-state ensembles, or to be honored for the excellence of their original compositions. These are not small accomplishments. We commend each of the student musicians honored tonight for their tenacious work ethic, their commitment to artistry. Each of them has done an excellent job representing themselves, their ensemble, their school, District 205, and the entire Elmhurst community. On behalf of the Performing Arts Department, our music teachers, we extend our proudest congratulations to each and every one of these students. Finally, thanks to the board, to our district and building administration, to the families of our students for their ongoing support of our award-winning music program. This would not be possible without your continued commitment to music education here in Elmhurst. Thank you, congratulations, and have a wonderful evening.
I'm a little shorter. Thank you. Well, congratulations to some of the most talented musicians in the state. All the time and energy you have spent practicing and rehearsing has paid off as you have now achieved a high honor in the state of Illinois. We are excited to see what you will accomplish in the future. And now I'll read the proclamation. Whereas the Illinois Music Educators Association competitions are considered the most prestigious statewide student recognition program in music education, and whereas every year thousands of students from across the greater Chicagoland area audition for the honor of being selected for the Illinois Music Education Association all-district band, chorus, orchestra, and jazz band. And whereas this program recognizes some of the best musicians in the state of Illinois and rewards excellence on the part of individual students while encouraging further music study and artistry. And whereas the following students were selected for the junior and senior ILMEA District 1 festivals: Annalise Belzile, All-State Chorus Soprano 1, Aiden Costanza, sorry, I'm butchering. Let me start over, hang on. Aiden Costanzo, Honors Chorus Bass 2, Nick Quintus, Band and Bassoon, Isabella Nichols, Band Double Bass, James Olson, Band and Trumpet, Quinn Olson, Orchestra and Cello, Reese Pavlik, Band and Tuba, Owen Popovsky, Orchestra and Viola, Danny Sanders, Jazz Band, Jazz Tenor Sax, Charles Scanlon, Orchestra Trombone, Amarin Sharma, Orchestra Violin, Michael Spur, Orchestra Trumpet, Tori Steinbrecker, Orchestra Bass Clarinet, Madeline Vacco, Band BB Clarinet, Anthony Poli, Composition, Alyssa Poli, Composition, Catherine King, Composition, Aiden Moran, Composition. And whereas this accomplishment brings pride and prestige to York Community High School, District 205, and the community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration of Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205 express congratulations to these students, their parents, and faculty members of the York Performing Arts Division: William Ernst, Christopher Gremkow, Rebecca Marianetti, Ray Ostwald, Michael Pavlik, and the entire District 205 music faculty for this outstanding accomplishment. Congratulations. Sure, yeah. If the teachers are here, can you step up too for the picture? And parents, if you'd like to step closer, you can also. Hold it one more second for parents. Everybody got it? Great. Congratulations.
Okay. Well, before we shift to the next recognition, just thank you to all the parents and community and teachers and coaches that support those students and give them the opportunity to succeed. So there's a party going on and we are not part of it. It's good. It's good. It's good. It's good. All right. So our next recognition is for a very special administrator in our district and who's in the back, of course, talking to students that he had. And so now we will move into honoring one of our leaders in the district. So Mrs. Hostler is going to speak a little bit. And I think that you definitely should have to stand in the middle. You have to stand in the middle. You're already red, and I think that's... All right.
Okay, is that working? Okay. Yes. So Jim Plascota is the principal at Edison School and has been for the last 15 years. He was awarded the 2022 Those Who Excel Award for Meritorious Service by the Illinois State Board of Education. Congratulations on behalf of all of us on the board. It's very well deserved. I was lucky enough to begin my long career of volunteering in District 205 at Edison School when my kids were young, alongside Jim Plascota. And that experience was one of the reasons that I'm continued my volunteering and one of the reasons I'm here today. So thank you. There's a few things I know about Jim Plascota. One is that he works extremely hard for our students. I remember thinking sometimes that maybe he had more hours in his days than I did because I couldn't figure out how he accomplished everything that he did in a single day. He puts students at the forefront of every decision that he makes, and he gets to know them personally as individuals and is truly invested in helping them be successful in District 205 and as they move on from here. He has this amazing ability to get to know every student by name within a very short period of time. It's like a superpower that I wish I had. And then soon after that, he knows the parents and the families and a little bit about all of them. It might sound like a small thing, but Jim doing that sets the stage for a welcoming environment that enables students and families to connect and get to know one another. And that leads to everyone feeling part of a very close-knit community. I know that's been an asset as he and his staff are hosting students and staff from Lincoln and pretty soon Field as they go through their construction projects. He has worked very hard to ease everyone's transition and make them feel welcome and a part of one big community during their time at Edison. So we thank you for that and for everything you do at Edison and for District 205 as a whole. So congratulations, Jim. Okay, you have to read this and then I'll give it to you. I'm going to read this. Okay, I have to read. You have to stay a little bit longer, a little bit longer. Okay, I'm going to read the proclamation. Whereas since 1970, the Illinois State Board of Education has sponsored Those Who Excel to honor individuals who have made significant contributions to our state's public and non-public elementary and secondary schools. And whereas awards are presented in 5 categories: school administrator, student support personnel, educational service personnel, community volunteer, and teams and nomination materials are evaluated by a selection committee comprised of individuals who represent a variety of educational organizations. And whereas the following District 205 team member was recognized for his efforts by receiving an award of merit for the 2022 Illinois State Board of Education, Those Who Excel program. James Plascota, principal of Edison Elementary School, Award of Meritorious Service. Whereas this accomplishment brings pride and prestige to Elmhurst Community Unit District 205, to Edison Elementary School, and to the entire District 205 community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Board of Education and Administration of Elmhurst Community Unit School District 205 express deep appreciation and congratulations to Mr. Plascota for his outstanding accomplishment. Thank you.
See the camera can't see you.
This is true. All right, everybody look this way. 1, 2, 3.
So I don't know if I can top the 8th grade speech. That I just don't have it in me. But the accomplishments that the students had prior to this award was what we're all about. And making sure that those students are being recognized. And those students are the ones that we are striving to make sure that their accomplishments are recognized. I couldn't do what I do, or I couldn't be the leader that I am without our team. It takes a team to make things work at our building, and our team of Edison has become stronger, more flexible,
more understanding and more patient with the joint Edison-Lincoln project that we've been through. And I expect the same project to be continuing on and the same level of professionalism from our staff as we go on for the field staff. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate it, but it's not just one award. It's an Edison and an Eddie Link award. Thanks.
Thank you. And that's why you're such a great leader. Okay. Those were all of our recognitions. It's really, really amazing to celebrate so many students and leaders and great things. All right. Next item on the agenda is public comment. So in accordance with Board Policy 2.230, members of the public may provide public comment at the meeting. Public will be allocated up to 3 minutes per speaker. We ask that you be respectful and please give your first and last name when you come to the podium. And I'll turn it over to you. We'll remind you when you have 30 seconds left. So the board secretary will call the first speaker.
First speaker is Elizabeth Collins.
Hello, my name is Elizabeth Collins. We have a second grader at Field, and based on the last spotlight, I'd say we're also lucky that he'll be spending some time at Edison next year. So that was exciting for me to see. We're looking forward to a good next year. So I'm here to talk about Elmhurst is subject to attacks on anti-racism, analytical thinking, and LGBTQ inclusion in our public schools. Since overt supremacist assertions and LGBTQ hate won't be effective in the public institutions of Elmhurst, attempts to censor topics will come under the guise of transparency. But in reality, what gets called transparency will actually be the selective derailing of teachers who cover challenging topics or have minority identities, because that's how power and protecting the status quo works. Just because one uses the word transparency doesn't mean that the real objective is transparency. There are those that want to keep anti-racism, analytical thinking, and LGBTQ inclusion out of our public schools. These people are going to use the word transparency to get what they want. What is easy to predict is that the demands for teachers to be laboriously transparent and defend their curriculum choices via adversarial processes will be selective. Who will need to be excruciatingly transparent and defend the minutia of their content choices? It will be the teachers who are introducing challenging topics, who are most helping students build analytical thinking, and who are presenting content that is most engaging for students with minority identities. Further, teachers whose mere identity is perceived as deviant will face the same chilling obstacles. These teachers will be required to work extra hours to defend their choices and humanity. In all, this will be an attempt to condition teachers away from covering challenging topics or into hiding their authentic identities. How long can we expect these teachers to stick with us? We want our children to learn analytical thinking. We want them to develop the ability to grapple with our country's history and understand how it still impacts us today. Our children need exposure to authors and content creators from a wide variety of backgrounds and experience.
30 seconds.
As they learn about the world, conversations about LGBTQ families, teachers, and students should be just as normalized as conversations about cis and hetero identities and relationships already are. But if D205 doesn't protect its teachers and students from these attempts, then that will not be possible. So I'm asking D205 to stand up to these intrusive calls that I'm sure will be coming for unnecessary transparency which in reality are attempts to censor content and people. Thank you.
Next speaker, Paul Garino.
Paul Garino, 836 North Emery, Elmhurst, Illinois. A teacher in the Elmhurst Public Schools from August of 1969, before there was a 205, until I retired in 2005. This is a letter that will be in the Independent. It follows 2 letters I've had in the last 2 months, and it will be followed by letters every month for the next 3 years. The inconvenient truth of the creation of District 205. When you read the official history of U205, they talk about the consolidation of the district in the 70s in one sentence. They don't tell you about the opposition to U205 by the taxpayers of Churchville District 3, the teachers of York, and the Churchville District 3 teachers. District 3 was the property north of Armitage and Elmhurst. If you go back and read past issues of the Independent, you will find out that District 46, Elmhurst south of Armitage, was in very bad financial shape. Downtown Elmhurst was almost a ghost town. District 3 had just finished the new Churchville Junior High in 1970. The 3 District 3 grade schools, Crestview, Cornell, and Conrad Fisher, were all about 20 years old. District 46 still had Hawthorne, Field, Lincoln, Washington, and Roosevelt that were all of the same age. They were at that time old and decrepit. You already know from another one of my articles that District 3 was on the wrong side of the tracks, the wrong side of North Avenue and the wrong side of Armitage. Now, why would anyone choose District 3 over District 46? Money. The District 3 salary left the District 46 salary in the dust. While the unification of District 46 teachers would see a big bump, the District 3 would see only a slight increase. The York teachers were going to get, as they say in gangster movies, 2 in the head. The York teachers would be frozen and not see a pay increase for 2 or 3 years. District 3 was flush with cash. Drive up into the old District 3 with a time machine. Go back to before the 70s and erase all the industry and all the auto dealers. Look at Elmhurst then.
30 seconds.
Okay. Put the cornfields and corn stand back by the power lines. Would District 46 have salivated over District 3? No way. There would never have been a U205. U205 is the result of unadulterated greed on the part of Elmhurst south of Armitage. When the referendum was put on the ballot, it might as well have been done in Moscow. A majority of the votes cast determined unification or continued independence. When you go back and check the precinct totals,
3 minutes.
North of Armitage was a sounding no, south of Armitage, yes.
Thank
it was
you.
a foredrawn conclusion. Wait till
you.
you see next month.
Okay. Thank you. All right, next section of the agenda is reports and presentations. We have 3. So the first one is student fees for early childhood through 8th grade. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Welton.
Yes, so tonight we're going to discuss the student fees, early childhood to 8th grade. They'll be next board meeting, they'll be up for approval. The early childhood and the kindergarten fees, we have a small increase of $5, and the grades 1st through 5th have an increase of $3. And the small increase is attributed to the new ELA materials from Wit and Wisdom and the Wilson Foundations. The grades 6 through 8 fee increases by $5, and that can be attributed to the Media Learning Commons fee for take and make kits, which were previously covered by grant, along with a $2 increase in consumable material costs for the elective courses in the middle schools. And I guess I'll go back and start over again just to explain a little bit about student fees. Student fees are for instructional materials that are consumed by the students in the classroom. And so, for example, a workbook that a student uses in the classroom, or as far as textbooks are concerned, they have we consider a 6-year useful life. So they are amortized at 1/6 of the cost of the textbook each year. So the student fees we calculate them based on the costs divided by the number of students for the goods, the instructional materials consumed in the classroom. As far as the grade 6 through 8 athletic fees, we have no changes at all to that structure that we've had in past years, and that really is about 20% of the costs are allocated on the cost of the sport per pupil. And since last year we've had a few strange years, we didn't go back and calculate last year, so we just kept the 4 tiers of athletic fees the same at the 6 through 8 level. So that's all I had for the early childhood through 8th grade student fees.
Any questions? I know this was discussed at the Finance Committee as well, so there's no other questions. All right. Then we will move on to student fees at York High School. Mr. Welton.
So at York High School, we had just a few minor changes. The lab fees, where there are goods consumed in the labs like art, CTE, the manufacturing lab, and the CT automotive lab, those for the consumable goods in those classes, the costs increased from $25 to $28, so a $3 increases on those lab fees. The cap and gown fee went from $28.50 to $29. That's this matches, that 50-cent increase matches the cost from the vendor. The biggest increase at the high school is for the Chromebook for all 9th graders. It increased to $407 from $320. That's an $87 increase, and that is attributed to the worldwide chip shortage and the price of parts in the technology area. The other change is we did change, and we didn't talk about this at the Finance and Operations Committee meeting. Last year and past few years, we've had a maximum of athletic fees of $400 per student. We're changing that to a maximum of 2 York athletic fees per student. So the third or the spring sport, the third sport would be waived, as opposed to the $400 cap. That became a very cumbersome, difficult calculation for every student. That would come up, the 400 cap would come up either in the winter or the spring, and it led to some mistakes, some miscommunication, that sort of thing. So this way it can be processed very easily with Pushcoin to do just the third fee be waived. And that's it for the York High School fees.
So instead of a flat dollar amount, it's if a student is going on to their third
athletic team or activity participation, then that's how it gets kicked in.
Then the third athletic fee would be waived.
No matter what that cost is?
Yes. So, yeah, it's complicated because you have different costs. The tier 1 is at 100, the tier 2 is at 155, the tier 3 is at 200, the tier 4 is at 275, and every student is different. So this will be much easier for Pushcoin to process. The third athletic fee is waived.
I have a question.
Oh, go.
No.
I'm going to finish. I would suggest that I'm okay with this or whatever, but I'm suggesting that the finance committee look at that again. I know that you want to look at it. You didn't last year, but there was a lot of rationale behind the cost of certain sports, and some of them were a lot more expensive than others. And I just want to make sure that we kind of look at that from an equity standpoint for all the students.
Yeah, we'll take a look at those next year based on the cost. This year, last year, it was a strange year, so we didn't want to use last year's costs and number of students participating to calculate it. But the athletic fees are based on the student fee is about 20%, 20 to 25%, and less so there is a fee waiver for athletic fees, so those students are waived. So it's a lower percentage when you take that into consideration of the percentage of expenditures covered by the student fees.
Right. I promise, Jim, I'll be done. But some of the sports are really expensive and some of them aren't. I guess I really think that we need to revisit that. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, just to piggyback, Karen, and that's exactly what I was going to say. And I'm looking at the numbers. So an athlete that's a two-sport tier 4 is going to be paying $150 more a year because they're $275. That's $550. Somebody better at math, I'm sure, will correct me if I'm wrong. But if the cap used to be $400, that's an additional $150 per family. Or even a tier 3 plus a tier 4 is $475, so that's $75. So I feel like, I mean, that's a chunk of money being now pushed back onto the family. And I understand
the point of some of the sports. I remember going through this in a lot of detail when we first were talking about it, right? And the whole point is some of the sports are really expensive, and if we don't look at it right, that's what's going to happen. Some of the students are going to be paying a lot more, and then some of them are going to get that third sport. And I don't want to just off the top of my head, recall how many years ago what exact sports, but some of them are in the spring, and they're pretty pricey for a few kids. So we just really need to look at equity. That's all I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and I recognize, and I agree. I recognize that the simplicity of it in Pushcoin absolutely makes sense. But I do think, I'm even looking, it's still an increase on a tier 2 plus a tier 4 sport. I mean, that seems to encompass a lot of sports. I don't know. It's just, I think that's a significant amount of money we're pushing onto the families.
I guess I would be curious how many students this affects. But you don't need to have that stat. I was just curious. Courtney, are you done? Okay. Jim? Okay. All right. So any other questions, comments, anything? Okay. All right. Okay, so that is all on that, and we can move on to the facilities update.
Good evening. Tonight we're going to go over about 5 projects that we currently have in the construction phase and that we're actually doing some work on here. Mostly we're going to be showing you some of the pictures or some of the images of the work that has been ongoing and what we started over spring break, where once nobody was in the building, we got started on a lot of these projects. But first, talk about the Bryan gravel lot. This morning we did close on the property at 435 West Fullerton. So as Yes, thank you. Um, we are going to start looking to convert current gravel lot into green space. We are working with our civil engineers right now and the city to remove the fencing that's out there, the concrete, and some of the gravel that's been out there. And we disconnected the electrical that was out there too. So we're in the process of looking at that. Fisher Elementary School, we started construction on the 6th classroom addition out there. We were doing the safety fencing around that, coming with the egress plans for the kids to get out of the building and into the playground. We did some demolition. We're working on the sanitary storm drains right now. We had to create an extra path for the students to get from the playground to the building instead of going through mud. We also had to sit there and install temporary egress exits, because the egress exit that they were using on that end of the building is where the new building's going, so we had to board up that door. So we had to install a couple temporary doors into classrooms on there for safety reasons. Jackson with the 2 classroom addition and the media center addition. This is the media center addition. We already have the footings and the foundations poured as of today. And we started actually on the classroom addition out there too. And the same thing that we did at Fisher, we had to create a temporary play area for them and also had to create a sidewalk path for when they drop off to get to it, because we're taking up a big chunk of their area for the construction, for the staging, and for the fencing that we have out there. With the media center addition at Jefferson and the boiler replacement, we're a little bit not as far along in this process as we are with Jackson. We got some sanitary work that we have to do. Part of the structures run underneath the new addition, so we have to reroute that. The boiler in there, that's the old boiler, that's totally taken out. We are upgrading that boiler in there along with all the HVAC systems in that building this summer. Field, we're just prepping everything right now. We'll be moving the construction trailer from Lincoln over to Field probably in about a week. That's why we had to temp the power out there and a few other things in preparation for the trailer. We're so far along at Lincoln that we got to start doing the concrete, the asphalt, and all the site work. We got to get the trailer out of there. Also at Field over spring break, we went out there and chiseled, grind out the medallions in there. We got about 200 of them in various, some are a little bit broken, but we're going to look at incorporating that into the new field, just like we did with Lincoln and all those bigger medallions and all those pieces that we did out there. Lincoln Elementary School is just coming along. It's amazing right now. Every day that we're starting with all the finishes, it's a different building every single day. We've got flooring in the classroom up on the 2nd floor, just about all the carpet's done up there. The teaching walls in there. We're going to start on the bottom right there. We're going to start installing the interactive media displays in there. The gym floor already has its ceiling on there. We're going to start striping that. Then we put the bleachers in there. Maker space, everything. It's really coming together. It's an amazing building and a lot of colors. It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool. And we have a little video here for you. That's quite all right. It's a pause for dramatic effect. And with that, we are right on schedule for opening for the next school year. Actually, we're a little bit ahead of schedule right now. Hopefully, I don't jinx it, but we're in really good shape. We can probably start moving people in there in July. Furniture will be coming in the first part of July, so we're right where we need to be right now, with no anticipated delays that we know about. Yes.
Is
Any
that
questions?
That's just, I mean, it's phenomenal. And I know it's a lot to manage. There's a lot of projects, a lot of, so yeah.
Forgot about the last slide.
I'm surprised you didn't stand up and say, wait a minute. Go ahead, Tanya, it's all you.
So the Build 205 is a website that my team worked with Todd on, and there's a lot of things that were done with the, I'm going to find it while we're talking. There were a lot of things that were done with the referendum, and we felt that there wasn't a clear place to share them. And so we worked with Todd to build what is Build 205, Build D205, and it's under the Resources tab on our website. And so when you go there, it talks a little bit in the beginning about the referendum and about the Master Facility Plan website, and it'll take you there. It's not being updated anymore. Everything is now on here. You can see on the left-hand side, you can also go to the live feed of the Lincoln Elementary project. And once field starts, this will be updated and that will be field. On here, you also have all of the presentations that Todd has done at the meetings will be uploaded there. And you also see there's a box for current projects, for completed projects, and for future projects. And when you click on each of those boxes, it's going to take you to the projects that have been done. If you click on the project, it's going to give you some photos, talk a little bit about the project, talk a little bit about some of the things that have been done. We're still working with Todd to get some final updates on this, but we wanted to have a place where you could go to look at all of the projects that have been done or will be done and get some information on them and have this out there for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love. Yep. I love that. I love that anyone in the community, even not District 205 parents, can find that easily and see everything that's happening in the district. I think it's fantastic. So thanks for everybody who's working.
It's a great website. As I get some more pictures to them, we're going to have a lot of before and after pictures out there too, which will give you a true visual of the work that we've been doing here as part of this referendum.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else on? Okay. Did you have some? Oh, you gotta raise your hand higher. I can't see.
I did, but you were ignoring me.
I'm sorry, I can't see you.
Hey, Todd, can we talk about the green space gravel lot for a minute?
Yes.
What is that going to cost to turn that into green space?
We should have the initial numbers at our finance committee meeting that we have on the 17th. We're still finalizing the design and what any requirements are by the city of Elmhurst for this. We're specifically going back in there to see if we have to go through the permitting process again, because the initial permit that they approved was when we were looking at putting underground detention, potentially putting underground detention, a fence, and all that stuff. So we're talking to them right now to see if we have to go through the permitting process to turn that into anything other than just grass.
Yeah, I mean, if we're, I have another suggestion besides turning it into grass. We could restore it to what it was from the previous 50 years, which was a gravel lot, and that's why we call it the gravel lot. I have to believe its highest and best use for those 50 years was as overflow parking for the occasional Bryan event, so parents had a place to park. It seems like restoring it to a grass field, my guess, is far more expensive than just taking that fence down, adding some gravel, and restoring it to its historic purpose, which was a gravel lot. I mean, we're cost overrunning on almost every project, and I think this would be a very easy way to save a little bit of money, but more importantly, put that plot of land to its highest and best use. I mean, unless you tell me otherwise, I can't imagine a PE class, on the edge of Butterfield Road, being held on that grass surface. It seems like just restoring it to a gravel lot, it would be the sensible thing to do.
And we will have that, when we have the costs at the finance meeting, and we'll have those different options.
If you could kind of cost out the grass lot versus the gravel lot, I mean, it seems like you pull out some fence posts, rent a Bobcat, and call it a day.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
We got a couple Bobcats, so we won't have to rent one.
Oh, there we go. Even less expensive. You know what? Use that money to buy some extra gravel.
So you're going to cost out both, correct? Grass.
We
and
have some of those
yeah.
that we from
Okay.
previous. We'll update
Right.
those as part of the presentation. We'll give in there. We'll have potentially whatever the new designs are, and we'll have that costed out for the 17th finance meeting.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Mhm.
Okay. Thank you, Todd. All right, next up is the consent agenda, which, if you'll notice, has a lot of policies that were discussed at the policy committee meeting, which is a public meeting. They were first read last board meeting, and this is the second read. Policy 420, which was tabled, will be on a later agenda. It is not on this agenda. And two others that we voted to put back, or to not move forward. So the other items are either routine or just routine. Would anyone like to pull an item from the consent agenda?
I would.
Okay.
I'd like to pull item, where is it? In section G, 5120 from the agenda, because a request for additional discussion at the committee level was submitted to the board.
Okay, anything else? All right, so could I have a motion then for the consent agenda minus?
I move that the Board of Education approve the following consent agenda items. A, personnel report. B, membership renewal, Illinois High School Association. C, instrument donations, Chen string bass and jazz electric bass. D, second read section 2, Board of Ed policy review 220, 230, 2105, 2120, 2220, 260. E, second read section 3, general school administration policy review 340, 350, 360. F, Second read, Section 4, Operational Services Policy Review, 450, 460, 480, 4110, 4120, 4150, 4160, 4165, 4170, 4175. G, second read, Section 5, Personnel Policy Review, 510, 520, 530, 550, 590, 5100, 5125, 5150, 5185, 5200, 5210, 5220, 5250, 5260, 5330. H, second read, Section 6, Instruction, Policy Review, 615, 620, 650, 660, 6120, 6130, 6260, 6300, 6320, 6340. I, second read, Section 7, Students, Policy Review, 710, 720, 730, 750, 770, 780, 7150, 7160, 7180, 7190, 7200, 7210, 7240, 7250, 7260, 7290, 7310, 7315, 7340, 7345. J, second read, Section 8, Community Relations Policy Review, 870.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Troutman, second by Mrs. Hassler. You can please call the vote.
Mrs. Troutman?
Yes.
Mrs. Hassler?
Yes.
Mrs. Stufen?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mrs. Arvanitis?
Yes.
And Mrs. Caforio?
Yes, 7 ayes, no nays, motion passes. Item 5, or policy 520 will go back to committee. Or sorry, what did I say? 5120. Thank you. Good thing you said that because I circled the wrong one. Okay, policy 5120 will go back to the committee. Okay, next is agenda action items. Item number 1, York Alumni Association donation. Dr. Campbell, could you give a bit of background, please?
Yes, actually, I'm going to toss that to my colleague, Dr. Grens.
Sure. Good evening, everyone. This is an annual donation, I believe, from the York Alumni Association to offset the cost for our students and their trip each year to the National High School Journalism Convention. This year it's held in LA. It takes place in early April. The students will be reduced in their cost by the donation of $2,000 from the York Alumni Association.
I'll ask for a motion and then if there's any questions or discussion.
I move that the Board of Education approve the York Alumni Association donation as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions, comments?
Do we know how many students participate in this?
I do not know. We can definitely find out.
Yeah.
Just a shout out to the Alumni Association for always supporting the efforts of students going above and beyond. And this annual trip for these kids is, I know, a very important highlight to their year and all the immense work that they put in. So a big thank you to the Alumni Association for offsetting some of those costs for those students. It's appreciated.
I just want to second that and highlight how these trips and opportunities just enhance the education of our students here, and the opportunity for them to do this it's amazing. So a thank you to them.
Okay. All right. Could you please call the vote?
Mrs. Hassler?
Yes.
Mrs. Arvanitis?
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mrs. Stufen?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
And Mrs. Caforio?
Yes, 7 ayes, no nays, motion passes. All right, item B, approve instructional materials selection and adoption for 2022-2023. Dr. Campbell, if you can provide some background. Go ahead.
Absolutely. I will also share this opportunity with my colleague, Dr. Grens. I will just kick it off by giving a little background that Elmhurst District 205 is seeking to adopt instructional materials for the use of the school year 2022-2023. This process is in accordance with the Board of Education Policy 6210, Instructional Material Selection and Adoption. At this time, I'm going to ask Dr. Grins to give a little bit more context, and then we will go from there.
Sure. Thank you very much, Dr. Campbell. So this is part of an annual review and proposal process that takes place anytime we are adopting new materials. If you recall, during COVID-19, I do not believe we adopted any new materials. So we've had a chance to dust off our procedure from the past, but also add a couple of layers to increase access to the materials, to increase some advertising of the materials, as well as a structure we developed for feedback on the materials that allows anyone, online or not. If you look back in time, this process used to exist completely physical, in person in the district office. And since things have adapted over time, a lot of those materials have shifted to more online access. But when we did not have online access for materials, we provided those on site with physical copies at the district office. Our board policy states that the policies should be available for review for a period of 30 days. This year we extended that window by 5 days to 35 days and allowed for feedback in that process. We did receive some feedback. We had 12 responses. 5 were regarding the proposed materials. 2 shared positivity and some gratitude regarding the process, and 5 are regarding current or past curricular items not directly related to the proposed materials for next year. We were able to make contact with each respondent who requested that contact. We were able to give a little bit more context where needed, and have even engaged in some dialogue in 2 or 3 of those occasions as well, to provide clarity. With the viewing complete and some of our planning underway for the future, at this point, the proposal here is that we remain with these materials proposed for adoption for next year. There's a summary table in the document on display, as well as a detailed table for further information as well. But I'm happy to answer any questions that might come up as well.
Dr. Grins, I'm going to just interject one particular detail. Also, as it relates to the responses that were received, in that process, we asked parents or community members how they would like to engage with us in fielding and answering and addressing any of their questions and concerns. So this was an additional step, which included that they could ask for a phone call and a follow-up conversation, or via an email response, or that they was just sharing their thoughts and did not require a response. And so I also want to again highlight our diligence in ensuring that we are engaging with our community members and providing them with any of the necessary information that they need regarding questions or concerns that they have had. And we have done that, I believe, appropriately, systematically, and in a process that we definitely would like to carry on moving forward.
Okay, thank you for that. I'll ask for a motion, and then if anybody has any other questions or comments, we can do that then.
I move that the Board of Education adopt the proposed instructional materials for the 2022-23 school year as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Back in February, we had a presentation that was about data and how these materials would help, where some of our gaps were, just as a little reminder. It feels like it's been a long time. And that was where we first discussed this, and as another component of our English language arts curriculum. Any other? Yep. Chris?
I just wanted to say thank you for making the process, I thought, more robust on new curriculum that's coming into the district. I felt like there was adequate transparency for folks to be able to review materials. If they had an objection, there was a clear way that they could express that. you all were responsive to the folks who expressed concerns, and I think that's proper process. And I know that this year we made it a bit more robust than it had been in the past. So, which I think is appropriate, and thank you for doing that.
Thank you. I think Dr. Campbell highlighted the process, and I'll just remind everyone that there were 4 chapters, as we called it, to that: the analysis of student and teacher data, the examination of research-based practices. We had a series of engagement opportunities with stakeholders. We developed committees and steering committees with staff. We had some parent engagement as well. As the final stage is the identification of opportunities, as we call it, to elevate instruction and promote student outcomes. The reason I bring those 4 back up is it doesn't mean that when we go through that process that we always are going to lead to new materials. That's not why we designed it. That's not what the process is intended for. In this particular case, we saw, as we talked about in length in February, striking opportunities and needs that we had to take action on. But we hope to use that process again so that, to the point that even that same slide is used for you to see some of the different content areas in the district that we will continuously and cyclically be reviewing. But it doesn't mean it will always lead to spending and materials. It might lead to actually a shift in how we teach a certain practice along the way. So I really think that, and thank you for highlighting it, but I just wanted to bring that back up in terms of the process that went underway to get us to where we are today for this particular adoption.
Okay, anything else? All right. Oh, is that
I mean, the only thing that I think is important is the professional development, and I don't know if you want to speak a little bit about that.
Sure.
But I think that that's a really critical piece to talk about. It's just not materials that are given to our teachers, but what we intend for the entire district, from the classroom to the administrators overseeing it, and we'll see. Okay.
The resources that were up for possible consideration were all considered and identified because they also had a significant element of professional learning attached to them. The teacher feedback we received showed that that was a high need. So when we were considering any resource for these particular focus areas, it was always what will be the professional learning and what will that look like. So we will likely have more information for you, possibly even as soon as the next meeting, if not May, to discuss, what that professional learning may look like and what those, vendors will be providing related to the resources to make sure that it's not just rolled out, but it's actually supported out, and that the staff feel like they're, really, really part of that, and they have their questions answered and their practices supported throughout it as well. So we absolutely will have professional learning for our K-5 ELA, as well as some world language components as well.
In addition to that, just to add on to what you've shared, Dr. Grins, is that the professional learning is going to be multi-tiered in that it's going to also, we have a learning that is going to be developed for not only our teachers, but our administrators and our instructional coaches. So when you think about the totality of supporting the adoption of a new curriculum, we oftentimes think about making sure that the professional learning is with the teacher, but we also have to come up and think about how are the structures within our instructional programming is also supporting that learning as well. And so just as per the board's approval, we have our first session planned with our actual administrators coming up the first week in May. That's going to, again, allow us to look and take a step further and delve into the actual implementation of those materials, so that we also are building structures across our instructional team to help support our utilization and the fidelity of implementation of those resources. So we are extremely ecstatic about the learning and about the appetite and the excitement across our school organization with our teachers, our leaders, with the adoption per your approval of these materials. So thank you for bringing that up.
Okay. All right. That seems to be it. So you can call the vote, please.
Mrs. Arvanitis?
Yes.
Mrs. Hassler?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski?
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman?
Yes.
Mrs. Stufen?
Yes.
And Mrs. Caforio?
Yes, 7 ayes, no nays. The motion passes. All right, next item on the agenda is declare last day of 2021-2022 school year. If you could give a quick background. Yeah.
Yes, I am going to pass this to my colleague, Mr. Pavoni, for him to provide some additional context prior to accepting your vote yes.
Thank you. Just a reminder that this year on Thursday, February 17th, the district had implemented a snow day, non-attendance day for both students and staff. So in this current situation, we are bringing this forward that due to the non-attendance snow day, this did not impact the students. According to Illinois School Code and Board Policy 620, because our students still have attended 176 student attendance days for May 27th, 2022, which is our anticipated end of the school year. So there's no impact on there. However, though, it does shorten the teacher school year by 1 day. So the teachers will have to extend their school year and be in attendance on Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. So we recommend today that the board take action regarding the last day of school, that the student last day remains the same, Friday, May 27th, 2022, and staff last day will move to Tuesday, May 31st, 2022.
All right, could I have a motion, please?
I move that the Board of Education approve the last day of school with the students' last day remaining Friday, May 27th, 2022, and the staff's last day moving from Friday, May 27th, 2022 to Tuesday, May 31st, 2022, as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Mrs. Hassler, second by Mrs. Troutman. Any questions, comments? All right.
I'll just
Oh.
make a statement.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to acknowledge that, you know, it is one less day of learning for our kids. Even though the state standard is 176 school days, there is a loss of minutes there. And I understand, and I'm not in any way saying that we should have school on Tuesday at all. So we're balancing. I just want to acknowledge that we're balancing, right, a schedule that works for the community and our kids and our staff with, you know, maintaining that the integrity of the number of minutes that we need and that kids need with their teachers. And that's why we're proposing, or that this has been proposed from the administration as the last day of school. Not that we're being flippant about, you know, reducing the number of minutes. Of course, it's not it, but I can understand that we're balancing those two things, and that's what we'll be doing, you know, for this year in the way that this kind of what I call an ugly number, the way it fell in the calendar, right? So I just want to acknowledge that. Thanks.
All right. Okay. You can call the vote.
Mrs. Hassler,
Yes.
Mrs. Troutman,
Yes.
Mr. Collins,
Yes.
Mrs. Arvanitis,
Yes.
Mrs. Stufen,
Yes.
Mr. Kaczynski,
Yes.
and Mrs. Caforio.
Yes, 7 ayes, no nays, motion passes. All right, superintendent's communication. We have 2 items in this section of the agenda. First is the future focus strategic plan update. This one has to be Dr. Campbell. Oh, no.
Well, actually, I was taking note of the time, and since it's 8:30, which is considered a pretty early evening, I was just going to knew that I could take my time now, and I got about a good 45 hour. So just kind of sit back, and you got an hour and a half. Okay, I'm just thinking because the last one we normally average around 10 p.m. So if you all want to take a little break and get some restroom and then come back and be prepared for the strategic planning. No. You ready? You want me to kind of move on? All right, okay. So the strategic planning process is well underway, and it has already allowed for us to engage with multiple focus groups. Additionally, between March 21st and April 1st, the district had solicited input from our broad community base about the future of our district via a community survey. That the strategic planning process is an opportunity to build upon the continuous improvement of District 205 by bringing together a variety of voices and ideas within our community, as well as perspectives. While our district strategic planning process, we anticipated the survey window closing on the 1st. Unfortunately, due to the delay in the delivery of our postcards to many homes, even after having nearly 1,000 community members complete the survey, due to that delay, it in much consideration, and again thinking back to the importance of listening and hearing and receiving feedback from our constituents and the partnership that we have with them, and the elevating the importance of the feedback to garner really the optimal results of really having very robust data to reflect on, to analyze, and then to really impact our forward movement. We have decided to reopen the community survey. And so therefore, that community survey has been reopened for 2 additional weeks, and it is now open until April 24th. You can complete that survey. Actually, if you go to the district website, you will not get very far, because there is a window that pops open that asks and reminds you about the completion of the actual strategic. There you go. Exhibit A on the screen. And so therefore, we, again, are sharing that. We have also sent that out to our media outlets. It is posted on our social media outlets as well. It was also announced this morning. I had made that announcement at our Elmhurst Chamber of Commerce meeting to just really notify as many community members as possible that if, unfortunately, you receive that postcard after that closure of that window, you now have an opportunity to go back and to take that survey and for us to get your feedback and your thoughts. In addition to that, we are hosting additional focus groups on Friday, April 22nd at the Elmhurst Library. So parents and community members who would like to be a part and engage in a focus group and be asked questions and have more of a dialogue around their thoughts for the forward movement of our district will have the opportunity to go to our district website under strategic planning and have an opportunity to register. And so I think Mrs. Daniels is also showing that that's available on here. It's there on the website. We've added focus groups with the specific times, and so you can click on that and register to be a part of that. I do want to let you know that each of those focus groups are capped at a particular number. So we want, and it's open and available to those that come. It's almost kind of like that first come, first serve basis. And obviously, once we reach our limit of a focus group being at 20, then that focus group is capped. So those of you that really are looking forward to participating, we're asking you to jump on there and enter in. We are really excited because of this purposeful pause and ensuring that we elicit the voices of our constituents. That has also kind of pushed back our timeline. So we originally had scheduled tomorrow to bring our strategic planning committee together to do an analysis of the data that had been collected through previous survey submissions as well as focus groups. Due to this extension of our survey as well as these additional focus groups, we're going to pause the strategic planning committee coming together in the month of April, and then we will come back together in May to continue that work forward. So we're readjusting, but I think that it is definitely an important readjustment to make, given the importance of engagement and listening feedback and perspective from community members. So with that, that concludes my strategic plan update.
Thanks. Any questions or? Yeah.
Just a kudos for appreciating for extending the window to give it, to make sure that everybody in the community, not just our 205 families, but everybody in the community has the opportunity to provide their input into the entire process. I don't think there's a person in here that has not questioned why they don't get mail, right? And the theories behind it. But so I appreciate you taking the time to recognize that. Just how far does it bump the timeline, right? Like, because that's the only thing I'm a little worried about, because, you know, the decisions that are made and the recommendations that come out of this process, you know, it's a tight timeline to be able to implement those things. So where do we fall as far as that goes?
That's a really, really great question. The answer to that is still going to be dependent on, we have a scheduled meeting to regroup with HYA. And so after that scheduled meeting, we're going to look at and see what adjustments might be made. One of the things that we're thinking about that's coming out of that is in our first meeting in May that we come together, they said it will also be dependent on how much time it's going to take the committee to kind of process the data, because out of that processing of that information, the next step is then to look at developing our portrait, right, of a graduate. And so, you know, the internalization of that data, as well as the team going through a process of determining that, could be a deciding factor. Originally, our thought was that we wanted to complete phase 1 and 2, which is the graduate, the portrait of a graduate. It's also identifying our key strategies and our goals. The great thing about it is that we already have done the work around our vision and mission. So there's not going to be time that we have to do a lot of wordsmithing around that. It's really looking at our portrait of a graduate and then how that is going to be used as the platform for us identifying what are going to be our big 3 to 4 goals and strategic strategies moving forward. The original plan under our previous schedule, we wanted to present that portrait of a graduate to the board for your approval and feedback in that June board meeting. So now we are also thinking about, right, if we don't make that June board meeting mark, the reason why is after we complete that, that then kicks us into phase 3. The third phase was going to involve our engagement with our actual leadership teams and how they were then going to take the strategic plan and really think about how that plan is going to be lived through their school improvement plan and the next steps that we were going to move forward. So, you know, you are absolutely right. In thinking about that runway and that time frame, our hope was to get that work completed so that we can really get to the most important work of a strategic planning process, which is how is this going to help support the implementation at the school level. And we wanted to get to that work, obviously in our summer months. However, I think that it's really important for us to understand that sometimes you have to go a little bit slower to then be able to go faster in the long term. And so, we are going to regroup as a team with HYA, have those discussions, have that timeline, and then I can submit to you all a couple of options as to what that might look, knowing that we're going to continue to actually need a little flexibility with that, given how the Strategic Planning Committee work and their outcomes of those meetings in May.
Thank you. Again, and I appreciate it's like you're balancing, right? Right, like it's a catch-22. If you don't extend, then we're not really incorporating everybody's input. And if you do extend, it kind of bumps the timeline off that, being able to see that implementation before next school year. So I appreciate the thoughtfulness and everything that's going into it.
All right, thanks. Anything else? All right. Okay, next then is, thank you for that, social media highlights.
Caitlin and Jackson from second grade in Mrs. English class. We were so lucky to partner with Jason Watts, a local artist and Elmhurst resident, to create some of the coolest murals in town. Each of our grade levels neighborhoods was inspired by an area of Elmhurst. Children from each grade level were able to submit artwork, and Mr. Watts incorporated as many as he could into these amazing murals.
Kindergarten was inspired by Walder Park, first grade by Salt Creek, second grade by Sunny Meadows, third grade by the Prairie Path, fourth grade by the Corey, and fifth grade by Autumn Grove.
These murals represent our
So I will say there was a couple in there that you will see at the next board meeting on the 26th that will be recognized. I can tell you that in there, the most active post that we have had on social media was the social studies teacher at York, and the project that he's doing for veterans. It exploded on all of our social media pages. So kudos to him, and the badminton coach will be here next at the next meeting, and so hope you enjoyed.
Thank you. It's really nice. You've upped the level of. It's good. All right. Board communications. Anything? Okay, we have 3 upcoming meetings scheduled. April 26, 2022, regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting here in District 205 Center at 7. May 10th, 2022, regularly scheduled Board of Education meeting here at 7 o'clock in District 205 Center. And on May 17th, 2022, a Finance and Operations Committee meeting at 5:30 here in District 205 Center. We have come to the end of our agenda. So with that, we are adjourned. Good night.